Hey guys, welcome back to Inside Marketing, the podcast for marketing leaders to share insights, wisdom, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. Today, I'm super excited. I'm joined by Kevin Sharpe, who's a director at Lanarkshire Law Estate Agents, and he has over 20 years of experience in marketing. And Kevin's been kind enough to give up some time today to talk to us and share some of his insights. So, Kevin, great to have you on the show. Thank you for coming.
No, thanks, Josh. Great to be here.
Kevin, so what I wanted to do is just dive straight in, really. So I think a good starting point, and something I like to ask all of my guests, really, is I suppose, do you mind just giving us an overview, I suppose, of your kind of journey in marketing? So kind of from where you started and kind of like working your way through to kind of where you are right now, because I'm sensing there's a bit of entrepreneurship in there as well as obviously the marketing side.
Yeah, it's been, I suppose, I would say I fell into marketing. So at uni, I did psychology, sociology, which didn't really kind of qualify for anything, but I'd always been interested in kind of how to market products or how to sell products. Although,
Yeah.
by no stretch of the imagination, am I a salesperson? And I think kind of marketeers are kind of people that would like to be salespeople, but just not good enough or not confident enough to be that. So I think when you got the hype behind marketing. So initially, I did some kind of free work for Trinity Mirror, so the kind of newspapers. So I worked in advertising research, and what that was looking at the kind of newspaper, how it was competing in the marketplace with other titles, and we were then providing the sales information for the field sales and the telesales in order to sell advertising. So that really got me kind of interested in marketing. I was always interested in tech as well. So I used to do all the kind of PowerPoint presentations and kind of self-taught in PowerPoint. So we used to have, like, when we brought over the Celtic View and the Rangers News, so that was a kind of publishing. Like, they used to get me to do all their titles because we were doing kind of bar charts with the front covers on them, and it was
Okay.
like really good, like sliding. So I was the go-to person for PowerPoint. But again, it was just to see, right, how we can sell this more effectively and how we can use technology. So I think I've always been interested in that. After that, I then moved to, it was a business director, so I got my redundancy for there, and I went with the sales director of it was IC Scotland at the time. Went with them through it was a business director. We did that, and then moved into a data company, which was kind of business to business. That was really good because, look, what you were finding was, and what I like about when you got marketing is you can harness the power of marketing and compete against the kind of big players in the market. So you were competing against your experience, your kind of Dun
Yeah.
and Bradstreet, like Yellow Pages, all of those people that were doing kind of similar. So I liked that kind of almost using your kind of competitiveness to try and then get some more customers. And it gave, I think marketing gives the kind of the smaller organisations a chance to compete against the kind of big boys by being pretty
Yeah.
creative and using new tools. And then from that I went to kind of a software company. Again, it was like you were competing against your like kind of Salesforce, etc. So this was where you got a small company in Stirling, and you're then competing against the big boys, and just kind of continued that. And then the last 2 years of my career has been spent in estate agents. So I created the estate agents about 3.5 years ago because my wife had a law practice. She took over that, bought her partner out, and we just kind of created that, and then decided a kind of leap of faith to kind of jump into that. So I do what you got along with a marketing exec, do the marketing for the estate agents, the law practices as well. So again, something I've not been in. BTC wasn't a market I was in, but I'm now really got in that, and I'm enjoying that. Again, trying to kind of learn all the time with what marketing tools are pretty got available now. To be a marketeer is so pretty quite exciting because there's so much
Yeah.
out there, so much choice and so much that you can do. It's mind blowing. You could spend 24 hours a day learning, and I don't think you'd ever get get it to the end of it. There's just everything changes every week.
Yeah.
There's something new kind of thing. So no, I like that.
It's interesting, and I just want to unpack that a little bit. So, just kind of rewinding back. So, you went to university to study psychology. What was it about psychology that interested you? Because I think, and obviously, I'm sure you'll concur with this, but like in marketing, psychology plays a massive part, around buying emotions and that kind of thing. But like, did you connect the dots to marketing at the point at which you wanted to study that, or was it something that came a bit later?
No, no, I think it was one of those kind of subjects that's always got an air of mystery about it. That idea where you're analysing people and having a kind of a methodical look at what they do and reactions and what makes up or the reasons why people do things, and it's a bit like kind of sociology as well in terms of when you're looking at kind of society, what influences then makes people do what they do as a society or as an individual. So I think
Yeah.
that always interested me, and then that kind of transition to marketing kind of takes the same principles in terms of what's the thought process, what's people's needs, their wants, and how you actually approach things. I think that definitely helps in a marketing environment.
Yeah, and you mentioned as well. Obviously, it sounds like you've worked some B2B environments. Obviously, now the estate agents in B2C. Now, like, is it a complete shift of mindset when going from B2B to B2C, or do you think some of the similar kind of principles kind of carry over?
I think some of the similar principles, but I think the biggest difference is when you're B2C, it's more about kind of it's emotion. There's more emotion. There's more what you got personal. You need to be more personable. It has to relate to them in their sort of circumstances. Whereas I think for the business to business, it's more transactional. So you have to. It's more about presenting the kind of customer service, the benefit to the business you're focused on, but you've got the business benefits rather than the individual person you're kind of speaking to. But I think what I've noticed over the last maybe say kind of like 10 to 20 years is it's been blended. I think there was clear lines drawn between business to business and business to
Yeah.
consumer. It was tradition, but I think now if you're speaking to a business owner, there is a kind of personal connection, and it has to be. It is a kind of emotion, and everybody now is talking about the kind of story. Everybody needs a story, but it's business to business or business to consumer. Focus on the kind of story because people buy into that, and then
Yeah.
focus on the kind of benefits. So I think it's definitely a lot more blended, but I do think there is defined lines, and there's slightly different approaches to it. And take them in
Yeah.
mediums as well. Like you'll approach like kind of traditionally kind of like LinkedIn's business to business platform. Facebook is probably more what you call it, like personal. So there's still got that idea of there's clear defined lines from mediums for business to business and business to consumer as well.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I was speaking to someone the other day, and I think storytelling is something that's super super important within marketing. And I think I could be wrong, but I think it's over the last kind of year or so, I'm starting to see marketers talk more about the importance of storytelling. But do you think that's a new thing, or do you think it's always been there, but some marketers were doing it, some weren't, etc.?
I think there's always been pretty good principally for at least the last 5 years that people have been told that you need to pretty cut a story. People like a kind of story, and I think with kind of social media, the way that it is, like you look at kind of TikTok, and it's almost like kind of a sequence of videos to tell a story, and that's what
Yeah,
people want to do because people are buying pretty cut the kind of story. Because I think like I've seen things where people just use like maybe say AI, they make up a complete like artificial story about someone's kind of background, what they've done, and it just kind of through kind of viral marketing, it just naturally and organically does really really well, and it's all made up because people like a story, and if you get the
yeah,
right story, the right product, then it can do really well. But I think it also has to be authentic because I think now
yeah,
if it's not an authentic story, then I think you can be found out a lot easier. But I think people like that, and then kind of building on that story. I think that's the hook people would have got to relate to, or they like a kind of whether it's a kind of an emotional story or something. But you got like I don't know, something like goes through kind of a lot of kind of troubles, and then comes out the end. But a good story sells.
yeah. It's really interesting you say that because not to stereotype at all, but I would say and I don't know if you agree, but for many law firms, shall we say, sometimes that whole authenticity piece is like, it's almost like, I don't think it's something that I see too often with law firms and stuff. So do you feel like kind of the approach that you're taking, with the law side of things specifically, it's almost like quite different to maybe what traditional kind of law firms do when they approach their marketing?
Yeah, 100%. Like, being from a business to business, but you've got a background, I really focus on customer service and delivering to customers. I think, hopefully I'm not talking kind of out of line here, but I think the majority of solicitor firms are still back in the day where they're a solicitor, you shouldn't question it, we'll get back to you when we want to. There's no such thing as customer service, it's just like, that's your timeline, that's it. Whereas I'm trying to kind of create a new kind of ethos, or a kind of customer-centric ethos within the law practice, to say, no, it's not good enough not to answer emails for 48 hours, or just to say, well, we'll get back to you when it has to be time-scaled. We have to have a certain level of what service. And again, when people are kind of contacting us for our kind of material, so we do kind of TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and hopefully they get away from that stereotypical image of kind of male stealing pale. Do you know what I mean? It's to try and say it is approachable. So, and I think what I found as well is that, like, a lot of people are apprehensive about phoning a kind of solicitors, because one, they think, right, their kind of problem is maybe embarrassing, or they don't like kind of speaking about it. They've got the impression that they maybe get kind of spoken down to, or they'll be kind of dismissed. So there's lots of barriers for someone. So we try and make it as easy as possible for someone to contact us. And that's how, in terms of reception-wise as well, we always focus on someone nice and cheery. Because traditionally, like, if you say to people, what's your impression of a doctor's receptionist? She's like, she works for the Gestapo. It's like, no, they're not very nice, they don't get through, they're just kind of trying to kind of palm you off. So we're trying to get people within the reception, so that your first call, they're nice and cheery, and it kind of resets their kind of thinking of what is this, like, they actually seem nice, they seem approachable, and you get more out of it, and it's a better client experience. So we're certainly trying to kind of do that. And again, we do pretty got a lot on TikTok as well, and it's funny because in the estate agent side of things, we try and do these kind of like quirky ideas, make it really interesting on TikTok, and we get not bad interaction. And yet, if we do just a basic someone like presenting to the camera, speaking about wills or an issue, is off the charts. With no production, just someone speaking about these. So it's definitely something. There's definitely got an interest there. Do you know what I mean? Like, people want to do it, and why you would think like 160,000 people would look at a video talking about wills on TikTok is just beyond me. But that's the beauty of marketing. You really don't know, no matter what you think is going to happen, no matter what you think is a bulletproof idea, it's never the case. So you need to just try lots of different things to find the medium and the approach that works for you.
Yeah, it's really interesting, because one thing I always kind of advise our clients on is, like, when we talk about brand perception, I completely resonate with what you're saying about, looking and feeling warm and people feeling comfortable approaching you, because one thing I always say is, like, your culture should match your brand. How you want your brand to perceive should match your culture. So, for example, if you're really, and it's okay in some environments, like if you're a really kind of corporate-y, maybe a little bit stuffy kind of environment, don't pretend you're a playful, funny, relaxed, laid-back company on the outside for all of your marketing activity, because as soon as someone submits an inquiry and comes to see you, it's like, oh, hold on, these guys aren't what I thought they were, kind of thing, if you know what I mean. But just moving on then, because one thing I kind of mentioned at the start is you've been in the marketing game over 20 years, which is fantastic. But one thing I wanted to kind of understand from your perspective is, like, you've probably seen some big, huge shifts and changes in technology and approaches and social media and all that kind of stuff. So how do you kind of think the role of marketing has evolved kind of throughout your career, from way back when to kind of where you are now?
I think we got a way back when I started, it was just got a general marketing department. There wasn't really, apart from kind of maybe advertising agencies, there wasn't a kind of dilution of the kind of marketing as a subject. Whereas now I think there's so many areas of marketing you can specialise in, and I think it's then kind of because each area, like you've got, like say, like brand managers, you've got kind of below line advertising, like the old, what you got below, what you got above line, what you got advertising, you've got like the e-marketing, you've got traditional marketing. There's so like direct market. There's so many areas now, and you need that kind of specialisation. Whereas I think it's split marketing the way that it should, because each of them are a kind of discipline within themselves, and you need people. Whereas before, like when I started, we used to do kind of direct mail, and we did like email marketing.
Yeah.
Brand was what it got like a thing, but it was just like how it was perceived and maybe taglines, but it wasn't about like every piece of information into what it got present the kind of brand in a certain way, or what it got message. You then did a wee bit of kind of SEO yourself, but all of those individual things, which was part of a kind of marketeer's what it got toolkit, you just touched on them, and you just wanted to do as much as you could within each of them, just to see what would put it stick. Whereas now, like SEO itself is probably what it got like split into kind of 2 or 3 individual disciplines.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was just you were getting like an online tool, putting in what you got the details, and it was what you got to submit. It was like a simplified version of it. Whereas now there's really what you got individual disciplines, and what you got, and you would need at least to be an effectively using what you got marketing. You're talking you need about 6 or 7 different areas within marketing itself to make it an effective brand nowadays.
Yeah, it's interesting. And would you say the roles got harder over the years, or easier, or no change, just different?
I would say what you got it's harder because everything's more accountable. Whereas before, you could get results, but things weren't as trackable.
Yeah.
Now you could say that you'd maybe do say a direct marketing piece, or you do say kind of email marketing, or some like kind of like PPC back in the day, and you would just get kind of like basic kind of website tracking stats. So there wasn't a lot you could actually do. Whereas now you can kind of obviously when you got the tracking of links, QR codes. PPC's got a lot more. There's more kind of add-on tools that increase that accountability. And it's not just accountability, it helps you track what's actually working, rather than just saying I spent this amount of money, I've done 3 things, and it resulted in this number of website traffics, and we received this number of inquiries. It's more, I think it's more transparent, and it's more accountable, but I think it's more effective.
And do you think it's really interesting point? You're right, because there's you can get access to so many different data points these days. You know, whether it's Google Ads or emails or anything really. You know, but like, do you think for many business owners that causes them to want to steer away from the more traditional marketing methods, I suppose, which were, I suppose, not very trackable. You know, so like or harder to track kind of the success metrics from that. Do you think they lean towards the more trackable activities, or do you think there's still a nice blend, and you know there's kind of an acceptance that maybe we should still do some traditional stuff because like there's still a faith in those kind of activities that they work? Or
I think that there is certainly still faith in the kind of non-trackable, the kind of, I suppose, kind of back to basics when you got marketing. But I think certainly if you're employing a third party, then it has to be trackable, because you need to know what your kind of ROI is for it, because I think that's what's important. Because I think if anything, like the kind of classic you used to always get, you used to get people phoning us all the time about kind of SEO, right? Saying we're the best, and but you got the UK, and I'm like, right, that's fine, and they give you but you got the whole but you got pitch, and then you used to say, so what's your keyword? Is it like SEO marketing? Yes, put it into Google, and they're not on the first page. You're like that, right? So. And the classic, and I've only went with kind of one of those kind of cold calls, because every other person says we're too busy concentrating on our clients to concentrate on our own SEO, right? Which is absolute bull, right? So that's what you got to find. But there was a company that actually says, well, we're number 4, right? Because see to get to number 1, 2, or 3 would cost us about £20,000 a month just concentrating on that. So know what? We're not in that bodycut pool. We're very, very effective. This is where we are, and we're priced accordingly. And I was like, right, you can get my bit of business, because it was the most honest answer that I ever had.
Yeah, that's really interesting actually. So like, so when it, because you're absolutely right. You know, there's no shortage of marketing agencies in the world, right? You know, they're everywhere, and so like, do you think there's a lot of mystification, smoke and mirrors when it comes to kind of like, so obviously you're sat within the business, right? You know, let's say you need to kind of explore like an external, whether it's like a freelancer or an agency. Do you find there's dishonesty, A, or B, smoke and mirrors around kind of like what people can do with regards to results, or?
It's smoke and mirrors, 100%. And a lot of it is, it's hard to kind of, it's hard to kind of quantify a lot of things like that, because, for example, obviously to people when they do, it's kind of Facebook marketing or LinkedIn, right? And then they concentrate on just the kind of the comments or likes, right? So they'll put on bodycut posts, and they'll then they'll maybe get 3 or 4, and it's like your auntie, your mum, bodycut somebody you know, one of your mates, and you get a bit kind of disheartened. But what I would say is that you have conversations with kind of people that say, oh, I seen you're doing this, seen you doing this. Now, they've never liked it, they've never shared it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you know what I mean? And it's annoying from someone creating content, because you're like, well, you're obviously enjoying it, you're obviously reading it because you know exactly where it was and what it was doing. The only way you can do that is like read the full thing. Or the best example is to see how many people actually kind of like and follow you or consume the information. If you put a picture of like, your dog, your baby, or someone's birthday, and that gives you probably a better reflection of how many people are actually consuming it, because it goes off the charts. I mean, you're going for like every day, but your posts are getting say 3 or 4 likes, maybe 1 share, and then you put somebody's birthday, 30th birthday, or 25th, you're getting 70, 80, you're getting like 10 shares.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
I think so. I think, and that's the difficult part for a third party selling a service, because if you just focus on the kind of the things you can track in terms of the likes and shares, then it's a difficult job. So there's more than that. So it's like, there is a bit of smoke and mirrors, especially kind of SEO. That's probably the biggest one, because there's no guarantees, and you can only do what the best of the knowledge that you've got, because everything changes, and you can't do in one approach that doesn't suit you all. And I think it depends on your kind of industry as well. There's some industries that do a lot better just because no one else is doing it, and then other industries are a bit more competitive. But yeah, I think it's more smoke and mirrors than the kind of dishonest.
Yeah, I agree, and I think you're right to highlight SEO as well, because like I think my view of it for some things I see is like, it's almost like some agencies treat it as like a get out of jail free card in a way, because obviously the expectation is this thing takes time, you know, and then the obvious question after that is, okay, well, how long? And then like,
Right.
oh well, it could be 6 months, could be 8 months, you know, and it's almost like then you kind of you get onto this treadmill of just like kind of just trundling along, and then at some point you get to the end where you think, actually, I don't think this is working out as well as I think it should, you know. But by that point, it's 6, 7, 8 months down the line, um,
No.
and it's interesting, and you're right, because I think, you know, obviously Google doesn't reveal kind of do this step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, and there you go, you're on page 1 for your keywords. So you're absolutely right in the sense of like, it's all, I suppose, experience and your kind of through your lens, I suppose, your view on kind of what needs to happen and what strategies need to be in place, on page, off page, backlinks, all that kind of stuff. But like, I suppose just reflecting on your career then, like, you know, here's where you are now. You know, you kind of all that experience in B2B. You know, currently working B2B and B2C. But like, is there anything, if you kind of step in a time machine and rewind, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 years, is there anything you would have done differently to maybe tee yourself up or change something to kind of help you in your own career?
I think probably because I come from an area where you kind of stayed loyal to a company, you stayed with a long time, And one thing I would say that I kind of regret is probably staying in companies so long, because I
Interesting.
think you need to kind of move about. And I think what you got now, because I think it used to be like, since I've been kind of working for kind of 25, 27, 7 years. So I think when I started working, the average person had like something like 2.5 jobs. What do you call and what do you got lifetime? I think but maybe 5, 6 years ago it was like 8.5. Now I would think it's probably going to be kind of 11 or 12, and I think that you need to be accept that, because I think it's the same with, I suppose, the same with kind of football managers. Football managers come in kind of 4 years and they've got a shelf life, because what they do and what they change works, and then the team changes, the market changes, and then if you stick to doing that through your own understanding, you start to lose it. So I think
Yeah.
there is a benefit of kind of moving about industries and different companies to actually gain that experience, because I think you kind of get that, and then sometimes you become a little bit complacent. So I think when you got that change, kind of research your circuit, research your kind of focus, and it'll be different from the person, the kind of the marketing person who was got before you, the marketing person who's left, or the marketing person you're actually replacing. So you can see what they did, which would be a different approach from you. See what works from that, take on that, and then bring your own approach, and then kind of find that. But I do think that for a certain marketing role, I think it helps to actually go around different organisations, whether it's in the same industry or different industry, because they'll have a different approach. The stakeholders will have a different mindset for kind of marketing, different approach and different ways they want to do it. So I think that does actually help. So I think I would have kind of probably moved about a little bit more to get more experience in different industries and different approaches.
Yeah. And when do you think you kind of had that light bulb moment that you should have moved more? Is it like is it a now thing kind of thinking on the spot,
A
or
couple of
like
years
was it
ago.
really? Yeah.
When you look back, you're like, "Ah, why did that?" But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, of course.
yeah,
And I suppose like I think what I'm finding is what I tend to find is I don't think anyone kind of went to school and kind of thought to themselves when they're really really young, or want to grow up to be a marketer. I don't know, maybe you did, Kevin,
no,
but what I'm finding is obviously more and more people kind of interested in the career of marketing, right? Whether it's through working internally within a business, being more of a generalist, or specialising. And I suppose when it comes to advice to people who are at that entry stage, obviously, yes, granted, make sure you kind of move about every so often so you can pick up new experiences. But is there any kind of top 2 or 3 things that you'd be saying to people kind of entering this industry right now to kind of help them kind of like accelerate their career, I suppose, as quick as they can?
yeah. I think there's lots of kind of resources available to see kind of different case studies for like what do you got different things. I think that's really important. See what do you got works for other people, for other brands, what do you got approaches. I think the technology that's now available to kind of help you to generate marketing, to manage it for reporting is phenomenal now. And I think you really need to kind of harness technology, all the new what you got like AI. You need to really know as much about what you got, like as many products as possible, to then kind of pick the ones that will really what you got help you. And I think if you don't use technology, then I think what you got, you're kind of dead in the water. Obviously, you need to. I think with the more one experience, you get kind of more ideas. But I think you need to kind of think outside the box. You need to try and be different. But sometimes don't be different for the sake of being different. Be
Yeah.
different for a particular reason, and just try and think out with the box, and always be kind of thinking, because no matter where I am, when there's something on the television, or there's an advert, whether it's like an advert on a kind of billboard or a radio, I'm always thinking, like my wife, just because I'm like, I wonder if we could do something like that. I wonder why are they doing that? And she's like, just be quiet, just stop thinking about work. But it's not, it's like something where you like, and I think that ability to try and kind of sell to people, and that kind of commercial awareness, because I think that's the biggest thing, is to be commercially aware. Look, what works, why it works, and what circumstances it would work, and how you can then monetize it. I think that's when you got the most important. But yeah, I think looking at case studies, looking at what other people have done, other kind of leaders in, but you've got the kind of marketing sphere, listen to what they're saying, and then kind of go about, make sure you're kind of up to speed with all the kind of latest kind of technology that's available to assist marketing.
Yeah, there's a couple of things you mentioned there, and I want to come back to AI, but one thing you mentioned more recently was about commercial awareness, because I completely agree. I think good quality commercial acumen, I think by default, will naturally make you a better marketer. Now, the question is do you think commercial acumen and commercial awareness is something that can be taught, or do you think it's just something that comes with experience as the years progress?
I think it's both. I think it can be taught because everyone has that, what do you call it, in them to a certain extent, but it depends on your kind of teacher to kind of bring it out and to then, what do you call it, identify. Because I think like whether it's been kind of back at school and you were making kind of fake IDs, or you were then thinking, right, how can I kind of buy things in and sell it to, what do you call it, to people. But that's for me kind of thing. Like some people say, it's like kind of, it's like the start of kind of being an entrepreneur. But I think it's just banded about, what do you call it, like entrepreneurship and all that. It's like seen as, what do you call it, like a badge. I think commercial awareness is, what do you call it, is key, and I think everyone has it. Some people are get an opportunity to kind of explore it. So if you get kind of free reign, if you're in, what do you call it, an organisation, or maybe, what do you call it, your parents, I've got that, what do you call it, idea. But I think it can be, what do you call it, learned. But I think a lot of people have got it naturally, and if they can just kind of harness that in a market environment, then I think they can do really well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And obviously, the big topic, which everyone's talking about this year, especially, is artificial intelligence, right? So, like, I've heard so many mixed opinions on this. You got the people on one side, which, it's we're at a stage at the minute where AI is helping us, and making our lives easier, streamlining processes, getting us through tasks quicker, etc. And then you've got the more kind of doom and gloom individuals who are like, yeah, look, it's going to completely destroy your industry. It's going to destroy many industries, because it's not going to be needed at some point in the future. Because at some point you'll just type into something, I need a Google ad campaign to do X, Y, Z. I need my cost per acquisition for a customer to be X. Go and sort these campaigns out. Like, what are your thoughts on AI in general?
I love it. I
Yeah,
think it's pretty amazing. The only thing that I would say is because I came from, we've had to do pretty cut like kind of old school. So AI just pretty cut enhances what you've got in your knowledge. The difficulty you've got is if you're just coming into that industry and you use AI for everything, you're not learning because
yeah,
you're not getting.
very interesting.
Because the biggest thing is that, like, when you use, let's say, something like kind of ChatGPT or like kind of the SEO kind of AI tools, is I think it gives you a kind of framework of what to use, and Bricot is good for Bricot ideas, but I still think you need your own input in it. And I think if you don't put your own Bricot spin on it, you just become complacent. So I think it has. There's lots of kind of benefits, but I think it would make us very, very Bricot lazy. And it's like anything else. It doesn't have that kind of human ability or human touch, and it's all about
Yeah,
your kind of prompts as well. Like basic prompts get you a basic output. Like I've seen using ChatGPT, they're trying to refine, say like an email, and maybe about 9 or 10 prompts just to say no, I don't want this. I would mean more like this, then it's come back. No, not like this. Change it again, go back. So it takes what you got lots of what you got refining. But I think you also need that kind of human aspect to it, what you got
yeah,
as well. I think what you got the kind of mundane tasks, or just kind of collect information, the kind of more the kind of automated things. I think that is a good thing. But I think it's going to change the industry, and it's going to change a lot of industries. What you got generally, and I think it's quite what you got scary.
yeah.
What's happening the next? What you got 10 years? Not all of it. I think will be good.
Yeah, no, I'm with you completely, and I think like, but just on that point where you mentioned about learning, because I completely agree with you on that, because like, especially kind of, I suppose, if you kind of enter in marketing as a career, you're right, because it almost takes the learning out of it in some cases. So give you an example. I was speaking to a university lecturer the other day, and I said like, I was really intrigued, just really, at a really basic level. I said, how's like ChatGPT affecting things, and they said their number one issue at this minute in time is students just using ChatGPT to write basically certain parts of their essays, presentations, etc., and then submitting them, and then rewriting little bits, kind of get past the online detectors where they're trying to sense plagiarism, that kind of thing. Because then it's
No.
interesting, isn't it? Because in theory, what you might have there in some cases is students graduating with, arguably good degrees, but how much learning has actually gone into it? If you're
Yeah.
with me, right? Because you're assessed on what you submit, right? And not like there's no like you sat in the room, asked a load of questions, and based on your verbal responses, that's when you're given your mark.
Yeah.
And so do you think there's a risk then that like marketing professionals, maybe at the earlier end of their careers, there could be almost like a knowledge gap because there's not really a requirement to learn certain aspects because you can get
Yeah.
the support for it and it's so easily accessible.
100%. And I think because it's then driven by what AI is then kind of tailored towards, will then marketing will then tailor towards that, because if people are using that more and more, they'll then want to kind of think for themselves, they'll just go with what is pretty got known within, or what's presented to them through pretty got like something like kicking a chat GPT or pretty got AI. So I think it's worrying, and I think the issue you've got is that if you try and do it all yourself and try and reduce the use of AI, then you might be left behind. So it's
Yeah.
better for the industry, better for your learning, but you might not get the opportunity to kind of showcase it because you've lost your job, because you're just trying to kind of learn and not use it. Whereas the ones that are using it is just because it's just a quick fix and get where you got something out. So yeah, I definitely think, and I don't know what the answer is in terms of how you can control it per se.
Yeah.
I think it's out there now, and that lots of different kind of products and services are pretty quite using it. So yeah, it's a
It's
bit
interesting,
it's a
right?
bit worrying.
Stay
Yes,
tuned, basically, I suppose. Stay tuned, see what happens.
I'm,
Last topic, really, Kevin, before we wrap up, really, is just really just want to touch on sustainability and what I mean by sustainability, it's like because what I'm finding, I don't know if you agree with this, but like it's a huge hot topic. Everyone's kind of talking about it in one way, shape, or form. Some companies have moved the dial up massively on their sustainability policies. Some are just doing a little bit, some aren't doing much. But one thing I'm noticing is, especially from a marketing perspective, is many brands kind of want to be looked and seen to be more sustainable, I suppose, in their own kind of certain right. But what I'm actually finding is many marketers are actually having to be, particularly in SME businesses, is many marketeers internally are having to be the ones to drive that because where they're in charge of the brand perception, the communication, the messages, the stories they're putting out, it's almost like they're saying, "Oh, we need to be doing this." Now, question for you: do you think that's right? Do you agree with that? But also, with the sustainability thing, do you not think there's a risk that many businesses are jumping on the sustainability bandwagon because they feel like they should be on the sustainability bandwagon?
100%. I think we got as well that if you're pretty got especially the kind of big brands, one, because they're expected to kind of lead by example, so they need to do it whether or not they actually pretty got believe in it. As a good pretty got marketing tool, it's what they want to be kind of perceived by their kind of customers or pretty got the outside market. You've then got probably the kind of youth of today, which is the kind of potential customers of these kind of big brands, are more focused on it. They're more focused on their kind of future, the next kind of 45, 50 years. They're more concerned about their children's future, the planet future. So I think for that, again, if you want to be get your kind of brand noticed and an affinity with kind of potential customers or your customers to be in pretty cut like a number of years, then they're kind of using that as pretty cut a tool just now to say, look at us, we're doing this. And the fact that you said as well, and I think it's true, that the marketing's driving it, is that it's marketability. It's the kind of to make it as a tool, a sales tool. So 100%.
Yeah.
I think proof's in the pudding, but I think it's the same with when I was in kind of business to business commercial debt recovery as well. So there was like the government put out, and was like for all the kind of larger firms, say the top 500 firms in the UK, they're all joining us saying, "Oh, we pay people on time," and there were people getting expelled from it. Companies getting expelled all the time
Really?
because they wanted to look as if no, we're good payers, and they were like it was like multinational companies are getting then saying that they were supposed to pay within 30 days, and it was like 60 days, 75 on average, because the marketing team's putting this out saying, oh, we're great, we're really looking after the small customers, the small business and all that, look at us. But they weren't. It was just, so the market was kind of sending out this message, but the company itself wasn't really got adhered to it. And I think that's what a lot of companies are doing with this kind of environmental approach. It's an environmental marketing approach, rather than put an ethos in, put the kind of bit business itself, because everyone knows a lot of kind of environmentally friendly or an environmental approach kind of costs more, and costs when you got money, which is difficult for when you got that business, because it eats into your kind of profit. And then sometimes if a product's more expensive, you then see people who would say themselves they're environmentally aware, they're pro-got environment, would they actually pay more than someone else that isn't? So it's that kind of fine line. But I think definitely it's a marketing tool more than when you got an ethos, and then they kind of focus on the environment itself is more as marketing.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because one of the things we mentioned earlier on was like talking about authenticity. And I think like the words authenticity, being authentic, I think they're words that are chucked around like no tomorrow these days. But like, it's almost like how authentic are some businesses actually? You know, we talk about, right, we're authentic, but then are we just planting 1,000 trees a month because we want to be seen to be doing something, but deep down we don't really care? You know, it's like it's those things, right?
It's a thing as well, because I think it was recently we got in the kind of car industry maybe a year or two ago, and it was the kind of rainbow flags of the LGBT, and it was only they only changed the logo in certain countries.
Do you know what? I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah.
That is a perfect example. You're like, yeah, the standby, and that's for things like that, and that's not kind of that's not kind of isolating them, because all companies like that, because you then need to think they're thinking of their bottom line. So that's what I'm saying. It's like a marketing tool. It's good because everyone expects it, but you're not prepared to stand by it, because that could affect sales in all these other countries, and you're like, we're not doing it. Do you know what I mean? So you're either for it or you're not. So
100%. Well, look, Kevin, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been really, really nice to kind of pick your brains and kind of get your perspective as marketing's developed over the years. We've spoken about some good topics, and guys, thank you for listening. Welcome back to Inside Marketing. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Wherever you consume your podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, and all the other places, be sure to subscribe, drop us a like, connect with me, connect to Kevin on LinkedIn, and thanks for joining. So, guys, we'll catch you on the next one. Kevin, once again, thank you.
It was great. Thank you very much. Bye now.